New merchandise is now available exclusively to my supporters on Patreon. By pledging $30 a month, you get a special Superstar Supporter sticker and a t-shirt. For more information, visit patreon.com/Marc Lovallo. And if you like what you see, please consider supporting my channel. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the video. Mario games are generally known for following the same basic premise. Mario, and sometimes Luigi, have to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser. But have you ever wondered what Mario games would be like if the roles were reversed? Where Peach was the one that had to rescue Mario and Luigi from Bowser? For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume you have. Well, thankfully, there's a game for the Nintendo DS that was made to answer that question, and that game was Super Princess Peach. Despite what you may be led to believe, this technically wasn't the first game to put Peach in the spotlight. The Mushroom Kingdom princess got her first starring role in an LCD wristwatch game from 1990 called Princess Toadstool's Castle Run. And yeah, before making this video, I'd never heard of it either. Super Princess Peach is what we're talking about today. And this is one of those games that people remember, but don't really talk about all that much. I recall seeing this TV commercial for it back in 2006. It was like some sort of military recruitment thing and had these girls in Peach costumes going through a training course like soldiers in the army. It's a bit as far as Nintendo commercials go, but I do have some nostalgia for it since it was how I was first made aware of the game. Peach is often portrayed as nothing more than your classic damsel in distress. A walking, talking trophy named after a fruit. So the idea of her starring in her own adventure was something I could get down with. But for whatever reason, I never got around to playing this game until now. So let's take a look at Super Princess Peach and see what kind of vibes it gives off. It makes more sense if you know what the game is like. So, Bowser has set up a villa on this place called Vibe Island. Oh, see, that didn't take long. And there he comes across the Vibe Scepter, a magical rod that has the ability to control people's emotions. While Peach and Toadsworth are going for a leisurely stroll through the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser and his minions use the Vibe Scepter's power to take over her castle, as we can see from the way it's bouncing like a Max Fleischer cartoon, capturing the Mario Brothers in the process. Peach ain't having any of that and decides to do something about it, but before she leaves, Toadsworth gives her an umbrella named Perry to aid her on her quest. Who he is, where he came from, and how Toadsworth got a hold of him are slowly revealed through these cutscenes that play out after completing each of the game's worlds. While Peach is poking at a campfire, Perry is seen having dreams about his past. He used to be a boy, he lived with an old man in the mountains, some creepy figure turned him into an umbrella, and then Toadsworth bought him from a shop. But honestly, I couldn't really care less. These are usually my least favorite sequences, not just because the drawings look like someone messed with the opacity slider in Photoshop, but each one just shows the same flashbacks we've already seen, but with some more stuff added to it, and it just gets longer and longer every time. Imagine if with Rosalina's storybook in Super Mario Galaxy, every chapter started with a retelling of the ones you read before, and then continued the story. It would get tedious, but at least you could still read it on your own time. Here, you have to sit through these cutscenes, like the game feels they're integral to the plot. But if anything, Perry's backstory just has afterthought written all over it. I guess it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because unless it's a role-playing game pre-Sticker Star, playing Mario games for their story is like eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for the crusts. So the story might not be anything special, but how does the game play? Well, it's a 2D platformer that puts you in control of Princess Peach, and your goal is to kill bad guys, solve puzzles, and grab some hidden goodies as you go from one level to the next. Super Princess Peach isn't exactly like a typical Mario game. You still need to rely on your running and jumping skills, but you don't have much in the way of power-ups. No mushrooms to make you bigger, no flowers to make you shoot fireballs. Instead, Peach comes equipped with a parasol and a Mario 2 USA-style health meter. This game doesn't have a life system, so when you take too many hits, you're sent back to the world map and given the option to start the level over from the beginning. Your health can be replenished by collecting hearts, and the meter itself can be upgraded by using coins to purchase items from the shop. There's other stuff available here too, like music tracks, puzzle pieces, and new abilities for your umbrella. For a majority of the time, parry is used for performing basic actions, like picking up enemies and objects. But as you progress, you can obtain new abilities for parry to use, either by finding them in stages, or again, buying them at the shop. With these, Peach can use them to ground pound, sail across water, float through the air for short periods of time, or fire projectile attacks that can be charged up for better range. But at certain points in each stage, she can also use him to travel across zip lines or ride around inside him like a submarine when underwater. I'm not really a big fan of this one. The sections it's used for are often pretty small and a bit cramped, and the submarine itself has no means of attacking enemies. This wouldn't be an issue if it was anything like the Marine Pop in Super Mario Land, though seeing how that's not the case here, you can try to avoid these fishies as hard as you can, but you're still gonna take more hits than you'd like to. And that makes me angry.
Rawr.
But speaking of which, let's talk about the vibe system. With this being a game for the Nintendo DS, the action primarily takes place on the top screen. Meanwhile, on the bottom screen are 4 hearts that each represent different feelings. Remember Inside Out? Of course you do. But think of this like the control center, with the hearts being buttons on the console that control Peach's emotions. Thankfully, she doesn't have to worry about the Triple Dent Gum jingle getting stuck in her head. Tapping vibes with the stylus allows Peach to use special abilities that correlate with whatever emotion you trigger. Calm puts her in a state of bliss and gradually refills her health. Joy fills her with delight and lets her create cyclones to blow enemies away and float up to reach higher places. Rage causes her to burst into flames and lets her use that fire to literally burn bridges to access different parts of the stage. Gloom lets her run faster but causes her to cry, and the waterworks can be used to put out fires or make beanstalks grow out of the ground. I could easily joke about how Peach is this emotionally unstable train wreck, which I can't really blame her for considering what this game is putting her through, but I thought the vibes made for a very intriguing mechanic, and every single world has levels that let you utilize that mechanic in unique and clever ways, to a point where it never gets stale or repetitive. You could use the Joy vibe to just fly over everything, but sometimes you might need to use the Cyclone to clear up foggier parts of a level. Rage might be good for burning bridges, but Fire also makes hot air balloons fly, so you may need to do that too. Shut up, Bixby. My Bixby went off while I was recording and she just gave me these sad emojis. I'm sorry. Super Princess Peach will have you using vibes several times throughout the adventure, but you can't just use them all willy-nilly. God, I sounded like a friggin' grandpa when I said that. Vibes can only be used if your vibe meter has energy in it, and only one can be active at a time. Using vibes causes the meter to slowly drain over time, and when it's empty, you immediately revert back to normal. You can refill the gauge by collecting blue gems, or by having Parry grab enemies and swallow them? I think. I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. And don't worry if you're not sure when to use a vibe. The level design makes it pretty clear which one will be needed for any particular section. If you see a row of blue donut lifts, use the Gloom vibe to run across it. If you see a yellow cloud, use the Joy vibe to get through it. It's incredibly simple and straightforward in that sense, although, in general, I found the level design to be a little too busy, I guess you could say. Stages are filled to the brim with things to collect, like puzzle pieces and music tracks and the like, and each level is a pleasant ride from start to finish. But sometimes there can just be a few too many sections making up an entire level. I've had instances where I would finish up a really tricky puzzle or platforming challenge, make my way to the next area, realize I'm only at the halfway point, and think to myself, man, this is still going? Not that they were too long, per se, maybe I just couldn't help but rush through them. I just think they could have made some stages a bit shorter. Definitely more comprehensible too. A lot of the game's exploration is done through warp pipes, and sometimes they would end up sending you back to parts of a level you've already gone through, which is slightly more annoying if it sends you back 2 or 3 areas. I swear, it's like the back half of this game is purposefully leading you around in circles. Not helping that the level design in the last couple of worlds can be so forgettable that you might end up going in the wrong direction without even knowing. At the very least, I'm glad that Super Princess Peach doesn't play things too safe. Despite its cutesy nature, there's still a fulfilling degree of challenge to keep things interesting, and the first half is very enjoyable, but while the second half isn't bad, I think it loses a bit of focus. Oh, there's nothing here. Speaking of losing focus. Hey! Huh? What? Oh, sorry, I was just vibing. Finish the script. Alright, I'm sorry. Super Princess Peach is made up of 8 worlds with 6 levels, 5 normal stages, and a final level where you get to fight a boss. After a pointless touch-based minigame. But it's nice to see some familiar faces here. There's PD Piranha and Gooper Blooper with easier versions of their Super Mario Sunshine fights. In fact, most of these fights are pretty easy. You beat this giant owl by jumping on its head, Big Boo needs to be killed by using rage to light up these lanterns and then smashing the I remember only struggling just a little bit with 2 of these bosses. The fight with the giant Wiggler requires you to stomp on these pillars to flip him over and jump on his weak spots, but sometimes he'll drop rocks down on you, and they're not always easy to dodge. And Kamek's fight is only kind of annoying because his wand is always floating around and getting in your way. But with the real superpower of mood swings, you should make it to Bowser's Villa in no time. Alright, let's get this mother... Before the final battle, you need to rescue all the... Wait, what? Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention. Levels also have 3 toads trapped in red exclamation boxes that you can rescue. Keep in mind, I knew next to nothing about Super Princess Peach going into it, so I figured this was part of some optional side quest and didn't really think about going after all the toads. But apparently, in order to access the final level and beat the game, you have to rescue every single toad in every single stage. Now, if it was like in Mario 64, where you only needed a certain number of power stars to beat the game, or toads in this case, and then you had the option to go after the rest of them later if you wanted to, that would be reasonable. But all of them?
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah, I'm with the rabbit on this one.
Rabbit?
I could play the game a second time and go after all the toads I missed, but with all the other Summer of Mario videos I have to work on, I just don't have the time. I did at least get to the final level in some capacity, so I feel like I've seen enough of the game to come up with a full opinion. Though, now I'm curious as to what the ending is like. Let me see. The Vibe Scepter has strange and mysterious powers, that's for sure. Somewhere, someone might possibly be using it right now. Your mom's been laughing happily a lot? Maybe. Just maybe. The Vibe Scepter is hidden away in your house somewhere. I don't get it. Well, anyway, notwithstanding a few shortcomings, playing Super Princess Peach, on the whole, was a treat. There might be some issues with the level design, and the completion requirements needed to be met are just a tad obtrusive. There's a fancy word for you. But the gameplay is still pretty solid, the controls are tight, the vibe mechanic adds a lot of flair, and its presentation is very cute. The game was co-developed by Toast Software, the people behind the legendary Starfy, so the art style is very similar to that game, and just as visually pleasing. The soundtrack is pretty good too. Not a whole lot of tunes stuck out to me, but La-Di-Da Plains and Wavy Beach both have some really nice stuff. What I appreciate the most about this game is that it clearly wasn't made with the mindset of it being a girl game. And I'm talking the kind where they just lazily slap a bunch of stereotypical girly things together in a half-hearted attempt at appealing to that audience. This is still a Mario game, and Mario games are meant for everyone to enjoy, so thankfully, Super Princess Peach follows suit. It's not one of the best Mario games out there, and probably not even one of the most underrated, but for what it is, I still think it has enough going for it to make it worth your while. So while I wouldn't consider Super Princess Peach to be something you absolutely need to play, I would recommend you try it out at some point. It ain't half bad. So until next time... Wait a minute. Her mom was laughing happily. Oh! Now I get it. I see. Wait, so that means she has a... Haldo! Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, a very special thank you to the patron whose name is scrolling across the screen right now, as well as my superstar supporters for this month, Henry Newman, Jake Winans, and Tyler Paul. If you'd like to support me as well, please consider pledging to my Patreon page, or if you're watching this on YouTube, become a sponsor by clicking the join button. This is all optional. I'm not going to force you to do this if you don't want to, but the options are there should you be interested in taking a look at them. And it would really mean a lot to me if you did. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I have some new Patreon exclusive merch. So if you pledge to a higher level tier, then you can get some very special prizes for it. Right now, I only have a Superstar Supporter sticker and t-shirt available. There might be more prizes available in the future, so when something else comes up, I'll be sure to update you. And I don't really have much else to say, except the usual stuff. Links to my social media and Discord server are in the description. And if you want to stay updated on my future uploads, then be sure to ring the YouTube bell or stay subscribed or follow, whatever the terminology is if you're watching on Vlare. Please let me know, because I'm still kind of new to the Vlare thing. Well, anyway, thanks again for watching, and with that said, this is Mark, bidding you all a smashing farewell, and shut up motorcyclist outside. These frickin' people. Alright, bye everyone.